Hey dudes and dudettes, here with another Path of Exile video for you. This one's going to be on a skill gem called Summong Raging Spirit. Now this is an extremely cool skill gem, and it just so happens to be a minion. And if you've watched some of my previous videos, you know how I like minion skills and stuff because of my time spent playing a Necromancer on D2 and EverQuest and stuff like that, and Elementalist and things. So we'll get right to it as normal. We're going to read it, discuss some of the stuff about it and builds it can go with, and then actually use it in the field on enemies and so forth. Summon Raging Spirit. Fire spell minion duration. So it can be increased by stuff that increases elemental damage, fire damage, spell, spell stuff. Any support gem that supports those, it can be used with. And one thing it can be used with, even though it's a minion, is it doesn't use weapons. You can read this on the Path of Exile Wikia. Since it doesn't use weapons, it can't use increased weapon elemental damage. So keep that in mind. Level 2, this one is level 2. Mana cost 5. You can see the mana cost is not that much. Cast time 0.8 seconds. Damage effectiveness 70%. Quality plus 11%. Requires level 6, 20 int. So you can see that it doesn't. It starts out at a very low level, and then that means you can build around it from the get-go and can use it from the get-go. The 20 int, you can see it's going to keep going up and up, so it's going to have a steep int cost, so you won't be able to use it with a strength build that's focused on strength or just dex. So keep that in mind if you want to use it. Summons a short-lived flaming skull that rushes at nearby enemies and attacks them rapidly. Enemies will not directly engage these spirits and can pass through them. They can't be hurt by any ground effects, but keep that in mind when using them, that I'm pretty sure some AoE will hurt them. If they specifically mention that they aren't directly engaged, that means AoE might hurt them. I haven't done the testing myself, and it did not mention it on the Wikia. Can summon up to 50 Raging Spirits at a time, so you can see you can get a lot of these things out. Base duration is 3.50 seconds. And if it says 50 Raging Spirits at a time and it's 3.50 seconds, that means someone got out 50 in 3.5 seconds, I'm sure. 11% increase in minion movement speed. Now the 11% movement speed comes from the quality up there. You see the 11% quality. As the quality goes all the way up to 20, unless you use, like, say, a Val gem or some other item that increases quality, it gets the increased movement speed, and you'll see that in effect here. Now the builds that this can be used on is, of course, summoner builds, so you can cast a spell from the back that is a minion as opposed to just a random spell that you chose just to augment yourself to do damage with the minions. Here we go. You can see it chattering. Pretty cool, right? Reminds me of Doom. And you can see what I'm wearing right now is the skull that you can get, one of the skulls you can get off of Steam. Now, something cool about these is that they're basically like the Bone Spirit from Diablo 2, where they seek, except better at the seeking part. So they're going to remind you of Bone Spirit. And now we're going to take these out and show you these before I tell you about the builds you can go with. As you can see, they're extremely cool to be used. Now, one of the cooler aspects of these is that they can fly over ledges. And we'll see that soon. I'll show you if we can find a ledge around here. Ooh, Corrupted Zone. Level 1? You can see they're pretty nasty. Now let's see if we can actually find a part of this that is cliff. Oh, there it goes. You see them? They're flying down over the cliff. I'll come down here and I'll show you a fly above. You see it? Oh, we have the boss up there. Watch him go up and attack her. And that's that's pretty awesome that they will fly above a cliff, since they count as flying creatures and do that. Now, some of the builds that these go with, could be extremely fun. Of course, you can go with your, ordinary caster build where you cast out as many as you can and they kill everything, because they actually do considerable damage even without buffs. At the highest levels, it's 400, like 200 something to 400 something, and that's without any of the buffs. And considering that they're fires, which is elemental, and spell and minion, you can get a 6-slot armor full of increased damage on these things quite easily, and that could increase their damage further. And that was that 400 some is only a level 20, and being that they're minions and fire, they can, considering fire has all of that, those leveled items like 2+2 to fire skills and so forth, and the empowered gem and everything like that, you can get some pretty high levels, and the damage just increasing further. I think all the way up to like 1,000 at level 30. So you can see that they're quite the damage. So they could have a build on their own where you just cast them. You can use them on spell totems, of course, where you cast a totem in a room and it just cast those things, and they'd be all over the place. You can use them to augment your summoner and have even more minions out, because when you invest in minion skills in the minion skill tree, it's going to increase them. So it just works together extremely well. And this could be the skill that you cast instead of, like, say, a skill from the back line like Firestorm or anything like that. This is a skill that you can cast. It actually builds in with the lore of the summoner and lets you use it. You can also use these with on hit effects. So just like when you hit and you summon 2 skeletons, if you're using summon skeleton on hit, you could use these. And even with the cast when damage taken, these could be cast when damage taken, but I don't suggest it because they I don't know if they'd be that big a thing, but it would be cool. I would actually use it just for the cool factor of it, because a little flaming skull all of a sudden spawns. But on hit effects could use them as well, and that would be pretty awesome to see. And on kill effects, because every time you killed a monster, you'd summon a skull. So keep the keep this skill in mind for because I'm sure there's tons of builds out there already, but there's a billion different builds in this game, and if you take and you find a unique one, everybody could be using this with the Summon Raging Spirit, and we'd have a bunch of skulls flying around. Bring back memories of Doom. Hope you enjoyed this video, and oh wait, I should tell you that as this levels, since they do have life, that's another reason I think they probably die as well. As you level them, their damage and life goes up, so keep that in mind too. And I hope you really enjoyed this video, because it is a cool summoner skill. And as always, take care, be safe, and be cool to each other.